Hello folks, this is Brandon O'Neill Bailey, and I'm in one of the piano practice rooms here at the University of Memphis. This is the first day of class, and I thought I'd start doing a few video lessons since I'm in between classes, have a few hours. So I've been getting some requests to do some videos on harpboxing and some of the looping material that I do, so I thought that I would start out with one of the more popular songs that I do, the intro to Hellhound, which a lot of people seem to like, which actually starting off with harpboxing, it's a very good song to practice several skills, including just the basics of beatboxing and combining beatboxing with harmonica playing. So a lot of people really know this as being Son of Dave's sort of magnum opus piece. So okay, so the intro to Hellhound, I'm going to be using a harmonica, key of A, using a custom marine band by Brad Harrison for this one, and the opening is actually pretty simple because there aren't a lot of single notes. It's mostly chords, but at the same time it's actually using the beatboxing with the harmonica playing. So this is the opening. Here she comes. Like a hellhound. Then it goes on into some other stuff. So, starting out with just that, your first note, I guess you could call it a note, is using a kick drum sound with your mouth and just blowing air through the harmonica, which is kind of the most basic move in doing harpboxing. So what you're going to do is you're going to close your lips somewhat tightly and allow air to pass through your mouth, so that you're kind of doing you want it to sound kind of bassy and kicky, and you want to compress your lips enough so that when the air comes through, it creates that heavy kick sound. So if you just practice that, that's the first basic move. So implementing it with the harmonica, it's really simple because you just want to kind of hold the harmonica slightly away from your mouth so that when you're blowing into it, it also creates that slightly chorded sound. So really close to the harmonica. So you're wanting to, of course, use enough air and breath pressure to actually get the reeds to move. And since it's a free reed instrument, it's not that hard to actually do. So that's the first move. So going from that into something else. There are actually a few different ways that you can do this. The basic way is to just breathe the chord directly after the puff part. As beatboxers call it, the P kick drum, or the puffing sound. So what you can do is just immediately after that, you're just breathing into holes 1, 2, 3, and 4, breathing out. So it's you're blowing into them. At the same time, I'm doing something else with my mouth. I'm actually putting the back of my tongue into the roof of my mouth and creating this kind of clicky sound, which is the snare sound. So it's P, then snare. And to do the snare, that's also a very simple move in beatboxing. Just kind of like, almost like bending, but only in reverse. You're just raising the back of your tongue into the roof of your mouth and breathing out. So it's kind of like making a hissing sound, but much shorter. So that's the first two important moves. There are only really 3 moves that you have to learn to be able to do this. I'll get to the last one later, but and I'm resolving after the P puff, then the snare. I'm resolving by breathing in on the 3-hole draw. So I'm basically using the blue third, or slightly flattened blue third rather. So right after resolving on the blue third, I'm just breathing out again, doing the snare sound. And that's all that there is to it, to the very first part. So after I do the last snare part, I breathe in. Very simple 1, 2, 3, 4 draw chord, and I'm using my tongue to kind of create this embellishment. Basically going wada-dada by breathing in. Wada-dada, wada-dada. And when you're doing the wada-dada, you're wanting to really open up your jaw and really allow the tonal inflections of the harmonica to come through. Tone is very important in doing harpboxing properly, so you're wanting to really open up your jaw and put the harmonica into your mouth as much as you can and really get a nice deep sounding tone. So that's pretty much the first part. You're starting out with the P puff, going into the snare. And actually another little thing, right before the snare, I'm doing the third important move, which is the slightly sort of a hi-hat type of sound, where I'm using the tip of my tongue, breathing out, and forcing air between the tip of my tongue and my teeth. So the 3 moves are the kick drum, snare, and hi-hat. So you're wanting to really use the tip of your tongue to go into doing the hi-hat. And that's pretty much the introduction to doing the intro to Hellhound. Using those 3 moves. And when doing the 3-hole draw as well, I'm adding a slight amount of vibrato to it, just adding these small embellishments, which is what makes amateur harmonica and more professional harmonica sound different. The difference between and so it's just these tiny things. So I guess another thing to add, a variation, when doing the second kick drum part, it can be easier to just breathe out a chord rather than doing the kick drum like the. So your second move, rather than being the kick drum, would be just breathing out, doing a 1, 2, 3, 4 chord. as you progress, this is the way that Son of Dave does it as well. He actually does the kick drum part next. And really, also when you're doing these beatboxing moves, you're really wanting to use your stomach and diaphragm muscles as much as possible. And you'll really start to feel it if you're starting to practice, especially doing things like the kick drum sounds, because you really have to contract your stomach muscles to really do it properly. So you're tightening up your stomach muscles and really forcing air out. And as you progress, start moving faster and faster. Here she comes. You're using a lot of out breaths here, so really practice slowly at first. If you start doing it too fast and too much at first, you'll really start feeling lightheaded. So you don't want to faint or anything. Just take it slow, and you will definitely get it. It's not an incredibly difficult skill to do. So that's the intro to the first part of Hellhound, and I'll be back with another video soon, possibly diagramming some of what I do in my composition of harpbox on my new album Memphis Groove. So, see you later.